Hello, everyone. Welcome to our SAG at Home series. And I'm actually really excited because today we're going to actually chat with the cast of HIGHTOWN. It's a new show that's coming to Stars, and it is going to be that page turner that you're going to be talking about all summer, even though we're at home. So please help me welcome the cast. First, we have Monica Raymund, James Badgedale, and Riley Voelkel. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hi.
Well, thank you guys for joining me here. I hope you all are safe and well wherever you are. Monica, I'm going to start with you because I'm not saying there's never been a queer, Latinx, drug-addled, emotionally stunted woman playing detective in a crime noir, but this is probably one of them, if this is the only one. So I'm just curious how y'all use this sort of unique character and how you approached bringing her to life for this particular type of crime noir.
It's a huge honor to be playing a character like that, to be representing my community, both LGBTQ and my Latina community. The fact that I get to be part of the story that's for this is an incredible honor. I know that we have a ways to go, but to be a part of a story where my sexual identity or the color of my skin isn't a part of the story, that it's normalized, that it's a characteristic of the character herself, that's a huge step in the right direction, I think.
Yeah, and I think that was the thing that struck me about it is this is definitely just who she is as the character, and it's definitely infused into the storyline, but you're right, it's not a plot point. In fact, I thought it was really interesting because typically in noirs, this character is played by a man, the sort of emotionally stunted drug type person, but they didn't make it a woman playing a man. They still made her a female person. And I thought that was very interesting. And I wondered if that was there from the writing in the script initially, or is that something that you guys sort of worked through in the pre-production process?
I think that it was a little bit of both. I mean, I think that our creator, Rebecca Cutter, she's a writer who leans into female her and also to show that hang with the guys. That equal footing allows a female perspective to be explored and to blossom even more so. Does that make sense?
No, I really love that. This is kind of for all of you because I feel like the Cape or Providence, P-Town is such a character. Like it's as much of a cast member as every one of you. And I was just wondering in your time there, because I know you guys shot on location, if there was one specific thing that you either noticed, an anecdote, maybe somebody at a bar where you're just like, okay, I'm so glad I saw this because it's helping me get more infused into this world and this character. And so I'll start with you, Monica, and then we'll go through.
Well, I got a chance to hang out with guys who own this marina and go out on the boat with them, and their families were in the business for years. So when I trained with them as a National Marine Fisheries Service agent, I had to learn what that meant and be out on the water. So I was with these guys who had grown up in Cape, and I think like the son had taken over the dad's business. So he grew up there. So having an experience like that was great because I got to ask them questions about the town and their community. That's the one experience I could think of.
All right. Go over to James, maybe. Did you spend some time with the cops there?
Yeah, I did. And, my character Ray spends a little more time in Hyannis. And so I was doing ride-alongs with a couple of narcotics task force members down south of Provincetown in Hyannis. And, it was, I found it kind of thrilling, you know what I mean? The way these officers, they kind of are, what they're doing is they're kind of like figuring out this matrix. They spend so much time watching and being present in the community and talking to people and trying to, spending years trying to find predatory drug dealers. The time up to take.
Awesome. And then Riley, what about you?
I actually didn't have to go because none of my exteriors were in P-Town, but I decided to go anyway because I had to see it. I had to see this place where our show was based. And honestly, our show could have been made anywhere. It's not specific to the Cape as far as the opioid epidemic part goes, but I'm so glad we made it there because, I mean, it was just so vibrant. The people are incredible. There's this real sense of community, and you really do feel like even just being there that it's its own character. And I think that's what's shown in the show as well.
Yeah, that was the part. I will say the whole, I guess, look of the show is so authentic, but also the way they approach the opioid epidemic in a way that made it feel real and authentic and not exploitative, which I thought was really interesting. They just showed it for what it was and how it's affected the community. But the other thing is, like, every bit of the show, from the production design to the costumes, it just feels like it was very much ingrained. Like, each one of you, if you just look at the clothes, it really speaks to the character. If you look at, like, Monica, like Jackie's apartment and how dirty and like messy that is. And the same thing, Riley, for your character's home with her son. I was wondering if there was any touches from the production design that you guys noticed that really sort of informed your characters, whether it be the costumes or the makeup that they did or the sets themselves.
Yeah. You know, an actor's wardrobe is crucial for me anyway. The kind of like shoes that you wear informs the way that you walk and how you hold yourself. It's a very big part of creating a character, same as like creating the environment in which they live, right? Because that we're collaborating with a production designer about what that space looks like with the character is living. That also helps inform our behavior as we tell our story. So for me, this is kind of simple, but it was the boots. The boots that I found. And like I have an attachment to my Timbs, you know, and I had to get the right size. They had to be a little bigger than they actually were because it just helped me walk in the way that I felt like Jackie would walk. So yeah.
I love shoes. I love that one. James?
I remember Monica's boots, man. Jackie had some bad boots on. For me, I learned what you know, the wardrobe matters so much to a character, but a lot of times you don't notice it until you've made the wrong choice. And for me, what stuck out is at one point I picked this leather jacket out to go meet Riley for the first time at where she works, her place of employment. And I'm in the leather jacket and I'm in the scene and we've already done take after take. And I went, no, this is bad. No, it's wrong. It's all wrong. And you can feel it when it's just not right. And so I had to fight to never wear that leather jacket again in the show.
Well, you look good either way. And then Riley, you feel like you have like a dual wardrobe because there's the mom wardrobe and then there's the wardrobe.
Well, I think she does. She has an alter ego. You know, there's Candy and there's Renee, and those are both very different worlds. And her at home, you know, I had to kind of open my mind as an actor to being mother closely with Rebecca on that. She gave me a lot of insight on what day-to-day being a mom is. And I think the production design is very important in that aspect as well. You know, there's toys on the floor and there's laundry and there's all these things that really represent being a mother day to day. And then you go to the club and you have Candy, who's a completely different, you know, face and different, you know, confidence, different power. And the outfits and the way she walks definitely had to represent that.
I'm glad you brought that up about the whole difference between Renee and Candy, because that's actually where I wanted to talk to you about next, because I'm calling it a crime noir. I don't know if Rebecca will be mad at me for saying that, but the mark of a good noir is the femme fatale, or the woman you're trying to rescue. And Candy and Renee sort of play both, which I think is so interesting. So I'm wondering, did you kind of approach it that way? You going back and look at Barbara Stanwyck, go look back at Gilda. Did you try and like pull into that, or did you just was like, I'm going to bring Candy to it, and if she ends up being something more, it's what it is?
You know, it's funny because none of that really came naturally to me at all. And so I think it was less about me bringing any of my own personal experiences or things I had experienced into the character and more about like opening my mind up to these worlds that I know nothing about. And like I said, it did not come naturally. Like the dancing, I was not a dancer whatsoever, could barely touch my toes. So I had to really like put myself in that world, train, learn how to not only bring the dancing on stage, but this confidence, this, you know, Renee, when she's Candy, she walks on there with confidence. And that was terrifying for me. So learning to get into that mindset was really the goal, I think, was how do I get into the mindset where this is a place of confidence for her. This is where she has power over the men. And how do I get into that mindset? And so I did research that way and just really tried to kind of brought out a side of me that I didn't know was there.
I like it. Again, I am a huge noir fan, and if I feel like I'm only on episode 3, so I don't know where things are going, but if you're that girl that's about to do a lot of things, I'm very excited to see what both Candy and Renee do for the rest of the series. Specifically, I'm interested to see what she's going to do with your character, James, because folks have probably only been able to see episode 1, but from episode 1, she kind of has him. So I'm just curious, James, what you think, not spoilery, but what you think that relationship, if it's a good thing for the cop, and maybe who she's going to betray. Is she going to betray the cop or the criminal?
Oh, yeah. It's a good game of cat and mouse. And it really actually sets up a triangle between Renee, Ray, and Frankie. And, you know, everyone's kind of trying to play each other.
Everyone's trying to play each other. You're not giving me anything on that, but that's okay. I'm all right with it. It's okay. Well, then I'll ask you this about your character specifically, because like I said, typically in this type of story that we've seen before, it would be your character. There's more like the womanizer, you know, the alcoholic type, whatever. And your character's a little bit more straight-laced. I wonder, do you think he's going to stay that way throughout the story? Or do you think that maybe he's going to show some edge by the end of it?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I don't see Ray as straight-laced. I mean, he might be a little nerdy and dorky, but so am I. So it kind of works out. You know, Ray's complicated. Ray has a past and he has a history, and I think there's a lot of gray areas to Ray, and I think there's a world where, you know, I think he's messed up a lot in his life, you know, and in some strange way that's made him more vulnerable. And then to your question before, you're right, Renee has him immediately. You know, I think, you know, as much as Ray likes to believe that he's in control of everything, I think there's this side to him that is very open to being puppeteered.
Yeah, it's really interesting because your character, as far as hooks him in, it's obviously his CI being killed, and that's what motivates him, I think, to take a personal interest in the story. But pretty quickly, it seems like his personal interest starts to become her. And again, I'm only on a couple episodes, but it's very interesting. Monica, your character, which I think is even more interesting, is she's got a different face. Is the one that the rehab counselor talks about, which is that she may be using her addictions, this case is a way for her to fixate on something else. And I just wonder if you think that's ultimately going to be something that helps her solve the case but maybe hurts her, or if you think it's just bad all the way around, that she's using this case as something to focus on.
I think that if she's serious about her recovery, that this case can help her in a positive way and help her. Because for me, this path that Jackie takes is really a path of redemption. And I think that this murder investigation serves as a way to have purpose in her life, because her downward spiral into drugs and alcohol, her addiction, it comes from a place of very deep pain, right? And I think it's a lot about her own self-worth. It's about her own like mission, like why is she here? And so stumbling across this body on the beach, something happens inside of her, and it gives her a meaning. It gives her her own mission, which helps, I think, figure out what her purpose is. But it's up to her to find happiness in her recovery by way of like fulfilling this redemption. Do you know what? Do am I making sense?
No, you absolutely are. I think I'm hoping for, again, I'm not far into it and I don't want to tell too much because folks are going to get to unravel this onion as the season goes along. But the one thing I will say is I'm rooting for her. Like, everybody seems kind of messed up. Nobody's winning, but I'm very much rooting for her. And I think that was evident from episode 1. Even though she was doing very bad things, we're all rooting for her. And it felt like it was that way initially from the pilot. Like, that was what struck me. That pilot, like, gets you, man. Like, I felt invested in all these characters right away. I wonder, for each of you, is that how you first were introduced to your characters? Did you get that initial script? And if not, what did you think after you sort of read this for the first time? And what made you especially want to say yes to it?
I'd say it was definitely the writing that got me at the very beginning. As soon as I did get the script, and it had been a long time since I read a script, that I just immediately knew I wanted to be a part of this project and play this character. I think I was craving a character like this as an actor. You know, they're very three-dimensional, dynamic, flawed characters that you end up really caring about, just like you had said. And that's kind of a dream character as an actor. And so it was a no-brainer for me.
Actually, I'm going to echo Riley. She's great. I was in a similar place where I wanted to work on a character that was really challenging and gritty and messy. I really wanted to work on something messy. So my way in was through Jackie, was reading the role, and the writing was amazing because the character felt like she felt like a woman that I could out. Mm-hmm. So for me, that was for sure my way into the script.
Jane, for you?
I fell in love with Jackie and Renee. I fell in love with all the characters here. I mean, Rebecca Cutter wrote, it's such a well put together story. It's such a beautiful yarn. I didn't like Ray. I was like, Ray's an asshole, man. I don't want to. Man, it's gonna be hard, you know, and then, but that's what kind of gets you. You start to get, if you have that little thing of fear, if you have that self-doubt that maybe you can't bring someone to life, or if it brings this challenge to you, it started to feel really like the right fit, and I wanted to run towards this because it should be risky and it should be challenging, and we should all feel a little bit of fear when we show up to set every day to work on the show, because I think that's what makes this story worth telling. These are stories about characters who are trying to overcome something inside themselves.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. I think it's interesting. This is obviously going out to SAG, and so, you know, the majority of this audience is actors, and I think everyone's feeling a bit of insecurity in the current climate and very much worried where their next job is going to be and how it's going to happen. And all of you guys have been working for so long. I'm curious if you each could give me the best part you didn't get that turned out to be something that you look back and say, but that was totally the right thing. Like, if I would have gotten that, it would have prevented this. Because I think right now, everybody's going to need a lot of that, like, internal pep talk to maybe get through the next months to years.
There's so many. There's so many that I could, you know, there's so many auditions I didn't get that I was heartbroken over, that I cried over. And then later on, just, oh my gosh, made so much sense, led me down to where I am today. And including back when I used to model, you know, I wasn't really loving the industry, and I got turned down by a few agencies in New York. So I ended up in LA, and that's where I pursued acting, and that became my passion. I mean, everything ends up making sense later, and persevere, because that you just need that right role. And it's a matter of being that role waiting for you as well, I think. And right before this, you know, I was almost a series regular on a different show, and I'm so grateful I wasn't, because then I got the opportunity to play Renee.
That's a good one.
Yeah. I'll just say, like, a really, really quick story, and I'll leave names out of it. I was auditioning for one miniseries, and down to line screen testing, and the director keeps giving me this direction, and I literally looked at him and I said, man, I understand what you're telling me. I can't do it. I'm trying. I'm really trying. I am failing. And I just want you to know that I'm failing, and I'm just not an idiot who doesn't understand what you're saying. I'm just really not good at this. And we go to the screen test, and I couldn't do what he asked me to do. And I went in and I did what I wanted to do. And he didn't talk to me. And I walked out, and he hired the other guy, who's a lovely guy who I've worked with since, and he's genius in this thing. And it was when I watched it, I understood what he was asking for. And I was like, wow, the right person got the right job. But what ended up happening 3 days later is that HBO was doing the miniseries. They called me 3 days later, and they'd taken that audition tape and given it to different producers.
No way.
And they hired me off that tape. And so for other actors out there, the moral of that story is that as Riley was saying, like, sometimes it's just not your job. It's another actor's job. That's fine. The right one is out there somewhere. You just have to follow your own instinct, because no one else can do what you do. Whether it's good or bad, it doesn't matter. You're unique. You're an individual.
I love that.
Totally.
Monica?
Man, there's so many roles. Like, I was still nervous. We're still here like, oh, I hope,
Totally.
auditioning. What's our next job? Is Hollywood going to happen again?
Right.
But actually, it was a project right before HIGHTOWN. I don't want to say the name because it's kind of a big project, and I was really close. It was between me and this other girl who happens to be a friend of mine, and I was like, oh my God, if I get this, this is a huge movie. This is like a game changer. And I was so nervous, and I was just acting like I think like manic or something today. I tried to be funny and I did the thing that you're not supposed to do, I overcompensated. And I didn't end up getting the job. I went to my friend. And I was pretty sad about it. And then the trailers started coming out, and I saw her, and I was like, oh, she's the right person. Mm-hmm. She's relaxed in it. It was kind of like what Dad was saying. Like, it's something that it wasn't something that was falling into me the way that it did with her. But I'll be darned. I read HIGHTOWN, and I booked this job. And if I had booked that movie, I would not be available for this. And this job is such a personal project for me. And the process was extremely, extremely personal and kind of cathartic for me. That it absolutely worked out the way that it did. And I'm very grateful, actually, that I didn't get that job, so that I had the opportunity to do this.
That's awesome. On a personal note, this is just me. I'm very much a fan of all of your work, but Monica, I will cry every day that Lie to Me was canceled. I lived for that show, and I'm still mad about it. So I'm glad you booked that job, but I just want to say that. I know everyone's got their other stuff, but I just had to tell you that, like, I cried when that show got canceled. That's just on a personal note.
I'm sorry. I didn't, but I'm so sorry.
I think that brings it to another thing is, like, everybody is looking for the other side of this. They're looking for normalcy, and I think everyone's hoping that it comes soon. So right before we kind of get to our final questions, I just want to ask you guys, everyone wants to see their family. Everyone wants to see their friends. Everybody wants to hug people without worry. But what are you looking forward to doing after this that you can't do right now? From just a personal level, what is that thing that you're like, the first day I feel good, I'm gonna go do this?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I really love going out to restaurants and drinking wine and eating good food. And I just love the ambiance and going out with friends or people I care about and love, and just getting to do that again, I think will be probably the first thing I do. Just go out for really nice meals.
Yeah, I really miss being on the mat, the trainer yell at me, sweating, and being like, oh, look how much I'm sweating, and like rolling on the floor with my trainer and like just work out.
Yes, I need to come work out with you.
it kind of
That's amazing.
I'm just laughing because we both went to the same gym in New York, and it's like they're become your family because if you see them a lot, it's just a place where like you can let go some steam. All of the stress comes out there, and you can relax there. So really, really get back to the gym and back. And sushi.
Sushi. That's a good one. James.
Yeah, I it's funny. Yeah, Monica and I met at the box before we started shooting the show, and yeah, I miss people. I miss people. I miss hanging out. I miss the joking around of the boxing gym. I miss set. You know, it's strange. I don't know if I miss acting
Yes.
as much as I miss the film crew and people, and like the fact that like we're the luckiest people in the world. We get to come together and do stories. And, there's a lot of us there, and there's a lot of us out of work right now. It's not just actors. It's the grips, the gappers, the hair, makeup, wardrobe department. You know what I mean? I want us all to come back together. I miss the people.
Oh, that's great. I agree with all of your sentiments. There definitely things that I want to do, except for yours, Monica. I'm not going anywhere near a gym. I'm sorry. I'm like, there's nothing. Like, I didn't do it before. I'm not going to start now. But I just want to remind everyone that there will be links in this description for this video for the SAG Foundation COVID-19 Fund, which is going to benefit the actors who are currently out of work. So, of course, please check that out if you guys want to look at how you can help a lot of the folks that have been affected by this. I'm going to get you guys out of here, but I want to kind of bring it back to HIGHTOWN because, again, it's going to premiere May 17th. Everyone's going to get a chance to see it, and then after that on the Stars app. But if you could really quickly sum up what folks can expect in the coming weeks for this show and what you want them to be looking forward to.
I mean, this set in Cape. I like to say that it's a train coming right. It's going 150 an hour. It's all moving so fast. You got to get on the train. You're either on or you're off. So it's street, gritty, complex shows with this is going to be something.
Excellent.
Yeah, and I'd say while our show shines light on dark subject matter, it's which I think actually a lot of viewers whether that's self or with someone you know and love. So I think people are really going to relate. It's also really fun and sexy, and Rebecca Cutter brings humor in even the dark areas, which I think is really realistic. And it's not your average procedural. It's about these incredible characters that you're going to fall in love with.
Yeah, I think the thing is our show is that we put a lot of effort into being different. We put a lot of effort. I mean, yes, there's I love what you said, the crime noir. It is a lot of sex, drugs, and murder, but we also tried to do this differently than anybody else had done it before. We wanted to take this different approach, and I usually don't. I can't watch myself. I had so much fun watching everybody's work on the show and watching the other actors, and it's really cool to be a part of something that I think is actually really entertaining, but yet so powerful and poignant.
Excellent. Well, you guys are great in it. Like I said, I'm going to go finish what few screeners they've let me kind of see. And I feel like I have a little secret because for those of you that don't know, the show is incredible. And it did have me staying up last night. I didn't go to bed until 1 because I wanted to watch another hour. And that, trust me, in my gig, that doesn't normally happen. So I'll go ahead and say that that's amazing. So again, thank you guys so much. Everyone, please stay safe out there. And again, please check out the SAG-AFTRA Foundation COVID-19 Fund and just figure out how you can help. My name's Jacqueline, and thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jacqueline, thank you.